Nice, good to see everyone. So we will talk about the state of Farcaster. This is essentially a part 2 of the presentation I gave at ETHWarsaw meetup back in February. Anybody who was there at the audience? No overlap, okay. We had this talk where like at the beginning I asked, it was a talk called like Intro to Farcaster, like, started building on Farcaster. It was before Farcaster was popular, so it's going to be a fragment of that in this presentation. And essentially like I asked this question, like, who knows about Farcaster, show of hands, like who used Farcaster, and there was like absolutely no one. So it's good that, at least now we have some awareness after what happened over the past 6 months. And this talk is mostly here because a lot of people also here, like, from my Polish friends, believe that Farcaster is dead and didn't work out as is what's supposed to. So this will be like really honest review of like what's happening, what happened over the past 6 months, what's going to happen next. The goal of this presentation is to give everyone, as much alpha about what's happening in Farcaster, what's going to happen in Farcaster. We have an amazing guest in the audience, Jacek, one of the most important founders in the Farcaster ecosystem. So we're in the really good company. There's a lot of conference talks that don't have that much insight about Farcaster. So we can start. Maybe we can start with let's do the show of hands again, like to judge the audience. So like who've heard about about Farcaster in the past? There's a lot of hands, most of the audience. Then who even has a Farcaster account? Okay, still the same people. Who opened the app last week? Warpcast or Supercast or any other client? That's still great. So you all know what I will be talking about. And like who posted last week? Like, the most power users. Okay, still, okay, that's great. We need to follow each other. So most of you know what happened over the past year. A lot of you onboarded definitely in February, back when Frames launched and the degen launched, or like the degen started like accruing a lot of value. So essentially, around this time is where I started getting interested in Farcaster, and there was like 6 months period of not much happening, and this was the moment, probably a very important moment in the Farcaster history, where like Jacek launched the degen token, and 2 months later, where everything picked up. I think the Warpcast team released frame specification. A lot of developers came to Farcaster to build frames and all of these new experiences. And essentially, a lot of people came to the platform, onboarded, and started using Farcaster. And people came with huge expectations. Some people left, like here, but people came with huge expectations. Some people came from the narrative of decentralized Twitter, of like, hey, this is something useful built on crypto rails, and a lot of people came for just new kind of tokens, new kind of NFTs, new kind of economy. So this was exciting time, and essentially this is what was happening. So degen started, we had this amazing run up. And things stabilized, as with most of the market, things stabilized right now. But these charts are like quite similar, at least in the momentum. Fortunately, the users stack more than like the degen token price, but the hype cycle is similar. Excuse me. Devs are constantly doing a lot of things, and like now I'm also like building degen integration, so I can promise you we work as hard as possible. So frames happened. Most of you know what frames are. Like everybody here is on Farcaster. There's not like an intro level to Farcaster, unfortunately. I was hoping to get some skeptics that I know that like claim that Farcaster is dead on Twitter, on this in this audience, but we don't have these people today. So yeah, frames happened. We had frames. Farcon happened. It was great. Channels happened. Probably not as exciting as tokens. And essentially, where we are in Farcaster right now is in this moment when A lot of enthusiasm stopped. I think people were really hyped till May, till June about Farcaster and like moving everything into this like crypto, decentralized social media. And now things definitely cooled off, and there's a lot of skepticism. Like, can this even work? Do we need another social media? Do we need another social graph? Where is Farcaster going? Will this ever pick up, and will this ever work? So this presentation is essentially, a short overview of what I think is still, exciting. And yeah, what's happening here? So essentially, who still has fun on Farcaster? Question to the audience. Okay, so this is still like very wrong audience, because everyone's stuck around. Hello. And the yo. yo. So people who just came, we were talking about the state of Farcaster. We just had an overview of what happened over the past 6 months, and where we are right now, which is like quite of a more of a bearish, less optimistic moment for the whole network. And unfortunately, most of the people in the audience like still have fun on Farcaster, which is a problem, because I wanted to talk about like the bearish case and to talk to some skeptics. Anyway, the activity numbers fell down. And there is a lot of problems, like with bot activity, with spam. We were wondering, what is this crypto social network even good for? Will people will it grow to actually the tens of millions of daily active users? Will it stay very small as it was so far? And it honestly, the summer wasn't looking that good. Like, it was quite pessimistic, and a lot of people were really disillusioned with like where this thing's going to go. And I think a lot of people realized that this like decentralized Twitter thesis is kind of dead. It's like, we don't really need another text-based social media with like another social graph. I think Jakub was like one person that is like laughing now, because like he was talking about it all the time. But everyone who came to Farcaster for decentralized Twitter over the past 6 months kind of churned, and is now complaining that Farcaster is like it's not interesting enough for them. All the action is happening on Twitter. All the people are still on Twitter, and it didn't really work out how people expected. So these are the arguments. I think one of the problems is that crypto is no longer like the cypherpunk movement where we look for decentralized alternatives to regular systems. A lot of people in crypto these days are just like here to make it, which is not a problem. But if you're here to make money, you're probably better off on Twitter, where like there's more people that you can sell to, or you can market your assets to. Another problem with like decentralized Twitter alternative for Farcaster is the fact that like the truly decentralized social media is like not a pleasant experience on the internet, and whoever spends some time on 4chan or like some actual free places on the internet, you suddenly get exposed to a lot of violence and a lot of like crime very fast. And the core team behind Farcaster is like definitely not people who want to engage with such behavior. Dan very often reminds everyone that they're like US regulated company. They plan to take on Meta, Instagram, and all the traditional social media companies. So they will not allow crime on their platform. So a lot of people were kind of disappointed by this, because people came to Farcaster for this like uncensorable social media experience that is web native. Everything is allowed. You cannot get censored. Your content cannot get taken down. And surprise, surprise, while the protocol is decentralized and you cannot get banned from the protocol, you can get hidden on Warpcast, like on Supercast. I will also not hold any content that is illegal, because it deems me responsible for example, storing illegal video content. So the communication layer behind, like underneath Farcaster, is very much decentralized, but it doesn't mean that you can do the same things that you would do on some hidden servers on the internet where like, few people come to like discuss Nazi propaganda. This is not going to happen on Farcaster. So decentralized Twitter thesis, kind of dead, because Farcaster, people don't come to Farcaster for decentralized Twitter after all. And that's a great question. What people come to Farcaster for these days? And I would love to answer this, but the presentation stopped working. Oh, we got it. So yeah, what people come to Farcaster for? Essentially, that's the big question. What's next for Farcaster? We did previously the show of hands, like who's still here, and like still too many people use Farcaster for this to make sense, because like you are like hardcore believers already, which is problematic. But essentially, we need to somehow get more people for this to survive, to sustain development of Farcaster and Warpcast, and to actually have a social network that matters in the world. We still need to grow 100 times from here. We need millions of daily active users, not like 50K or something of whatever we have here, and probably all the blue sticks here are bots. You can kind of make an educated guess of like what is an honest activity and what is a bot activity, because orange sticks, orange bars are reactions, like unique people reacting, and blue bars are unique people posting or like replying to others, and usually bots just like reply to and like spam the network. So probably only like this part is like actual real users, and the rest of it is bot behavior. Anyway, what's happening next? We need more people. We need to somehow attract like 10 million users, daily active users. So probably like 100 million, like 1 billion, years from now. And this decentralized Twitter thesis is not really working out for Farcaster right now. I guess if we can do some like audience question right now, like, does anyone want to share like something very exciting that they come to Farcaster for every day? If anyone is like brave enough and just want to scream like something that they really like about the platform, and we can maybe go from there. Any takers? No. Oh.
So I'm usually looking for some. Thanks. So I'm usually looking at like newest frames, what is happening right now, what are people building. I think currently there are not a lot of interesting frames, at least for me, it's my personal opinion. But I'm always looking like what people are building, what they are using frames for, because yeah, frames is an awesome feature in my opinion.
Nice. Any favorite frames that are like make you stick around?
I mean, the favorite one is the one we made for me. So we built polymarket frame where you can bet on markets, straight from Farcaster frame, and yeah, it's my favorite one, of course. But we are also using signatures, and I don't think there's a lot of usage of signatures right now in the Farcaster frame. No other favorite frame, to be honest.
Congrats on this one. It was super impressive. And yeah, actually, there's not much usage. There's not much usage of Solana integration either. But maybe this will come back. They both are like available right now.
Somebody ran an inquest on Farcaster, like how do we grow from there? One thing that I contributed is that we need to get some like KOLs, like Vitalik, for example. He took a break from Twitter and was on Farcaster. So that's what I, for example, came to Farcaster to read him, right? And I think the organization is small enough that they should invest in somehow like target, get 1 or 2 people really, famous to convert them to Farcaster, and people will just follow, right? I mean, I said that just takes one Taylor Swift to change people's lives, right? So I'm not. It's just one, yeah, exactly, right? Getting people of that caliber, like Vitalik, like somebody else, I don't know, right? But that would certainly onboard more people, right? Whether it's going to sustain, it's a different story, right? But at least trying to, and I think that's, it's just like institutional targeting, marketing, go after one person, spend money on them, bring them over to hang out for, I don't know, a couple of months, 3 months, maybe longer, they will like it. And that, I think that's the way to go, one of the directions at least.
Yeah, so Vitalik case is very interesting, right? Because actually, I think I was also very excited about Farcaster when Vitalik started posting there more. And I think what happened is like mostly people got angry for Vitalik for like, abandoning Twitter and like potentially causing the ETH price to tank. I think we had a lot of this narrative over past month. But yeah, like ideally this is how it should work. We all like, potentially could move to this like other place of the internet. But I think something that reality showed over past months is that it can only get you so far if you have this like, great thinkers or posters on a social network, and it doesn't really move the needle when it comes to like a user engagement and retention. So you need to have something more than like, looking up to few popular people who like post to different platforms at the same time, and like, Farcaster being one of them. I would love this to be like the secret sauce, but I think so far it hasn't proven to be one. But yeah, that's, hopefully this would be like one of the strategies to grow. Anybody else has like, their favorite feature of Farcaster? We can do one more of these and we will follow the presentation. Yes, we found a taker.
Maybe just a comment to that, or to expand, like Farcaster is already doing this, that people who are key opinion leaders on Twitter are also posting on Farcaster, like the founder of A16Z, right? Some other people, and to me it's kind of like mixed, feelings towards that, because I don't know if these people actually check Farcaster. They post on Twitter, they have an account on Farcaster, but I don't know if they look at the replies, right? So if you reply to them, like usually would expect them to reply you back, right? To get some feedback and that.
So this cross-posting, probably many of you noticed recently, because the audience is apparently very Farcaster native. There is a lot of big Twitter accounts that are posting right now to Farcaster. And it's actually, in many cases, an organized action from the Warpcast team to have a really good cross-posting experience for them. So they can, so the same thing that, Mark Andreessen, Mertz, Gwarty, all of these like big Twitter accounts, what they post on Twitter automatically gets posted on Farcaster. And actually the reasoning behind it is not that much for you as the user experience, it's to attract them to come back to the platform. So they don't come back to the platform, which is the problem to solve. But if you check the app and you already have some replies and some like engagement there, you're more likely to be to stick around. And I think that's the goal with cross posting. It's not much for like your content, but it's like to somehow like attract these people back rather than have them posting on Twitter exclusively. And like when they come to Warpcast, they don't see any notification at all, and they feel they lack their dopamine that they get on Twitter. So yeah. Anyway. So the social graph theory, is great. Like the social graph is really valuable, but it doesn't grow on its own. I think we managed to disprove this thesis over the past 6 months. We got the growth moments, we got the flywheel going, but it didn't really last. And we can now wonder like what's actually cool on Farcaster and like how we double down on this. So actually, frames are really interesting. And something that has been released in Warpcast recently, I don't know how many of you had a chance to play with this, are composer actions. So this is, I need to show this on Warpcast. It's not on Supercast yet, which pains me a lot. But one can do only as much at the same time. So composer actions are something that I'm really excited about. They allow you to install essentially an app inside Warpcast And whenever like you want to post something, you can attach, some sort of a content generated in the app. So on the left side, the menu is like essentially you start casting, you press a button, and then you can open one of these apps that is like, at the very top of the suggestions, and you can create an event. Like, you can create a Facebook event from straight from the composer action. You can literally post a job or like on Marketplace through Bountycaster. You can create reviews like on Goodreads, but like inside Warpcast or Supercast soon. Or you can play Flappy Bird. And all of these like developers Lego are actually like allowing us to start creating more closed loop games or experiences inside the feed, where like, I can start doing something from my cast menu and then everyone else can interact with frames. Probably something that you experienced like with frames is that, with frames with Polymarket, is that people who want to use it, but they don't see at any given point the feed, like, they need to go to Polymarket anyway. And this, changes the behavior of the user, where, they can just like summon this summon this frame from the cast compose menu, and they can use it at any time. And they can also like have their friends play with this. So we can think of it, this could be a place where you can like launch an NFT mint, or you start some game that people interact with. And this is only like 1 month old. Already cool stuff has been built with composer actions, and I think this will be like a really exciting new opportunity for Farcaster to grow, because suddenly you don't have only text content, but now you have all of this like application and like new type of experience content on the network that hopefully people will come to, or like more people will be retained. At least that's my thesis. So something else that is very exciting on Farcaster right now, and I can start like showing Supercast screenshots, is Farcaster economy. And something that I think, so it started like, with this points drop, but like I think it actually started with the degen launch, is Farcaster tokens. And there's like a lot of tokens that are considered Farcaster native these days. And they all have like, some special utility. This is interesting. So with degen, you have tipping. You have your tipping allowance based on how much degen you logged. In the past, it was based on the engagement that you're getting. And you can reward, content of others. And Jacek created a frontend for degen on like degen.tips. But now there is a frontend for degen token inside Supercast as well. So you can use essentially, you can interact with this part of Farcaster economy like within one app, which makes for a better experience. You can kind of like make money on this app without like having, or like with degen, you had to have degen before, but you can get tipped degen without having anything before. And you can just like, earn money by being on the feed. And this is not a built-in thing into the protocol, like in Warpcast. This is something that outside developers build. And this also gives me a lot of hope. And similar situation is with Moxie. I think Moxie iterated a lot on the design of degen. You don't have tipping, but you get this token if other reply to you. There is Ham, which is actually like an iteration over both degen and Moxie, and developer of Ham is also like a really skilled engineer and a great guy, and they have a great community. So these 3 projects, and definitely more than this, are essentially causing the experience on Farcaster where if you are active enough, you get paid money, which again it wasn't really like goal of the social network to be like that. I think there was a lot of crypto related projects that launched with this like earning aspect in mind, and they usually get exploited very fast, or like they get played really fast. And if you have this type of permissionless innovation, this is much harder to just kill, because there's no one project that is like getting exploited. If someone is, and it happened many times already, if someone is like exploiting degen rules with some engagement rings or something like that, it's up to the degen team to decide like what are we doing with this. Maybe it will cause problems with degen, but it will not cause problems with overall Farcaster ecosystem, or at least will not kill it. It's just a part of it. So these are like the economy tokens, as I call them. And I think the last part is just regular tokens. As I mentioned, there's just like so many different things launched in Farcaster. There's a whole like, coin market cap type of page called farcaster.in, Farcaster Index. Just like Farcaster and the social graphs allow you for such an interesting way of like distributing these tokens and spinning out communities around channels, around people, around topics that I just like, don't believe this trend will stop. And definitely it will pick up like once, people finish the summer, they go back to their jobs, they come back home, they try to make some money again, and this will just like naturally pick up again soon. So definitely, there will be more of that. There will be more of social fights. This is the screenshot from an app called Scoop that creates a trading card of you. And people can like, buy and sell it. And you can buy other cards and you can have fun with this. There's, again, this is Farcaster native audience, so but there's like 10 different social fights in Farcaster. Like everyone on this, like in this room has like 10 different profiles on this app, and they're all tradable. They all have like couple $1,000 market caps, and the future of this is probably that there will be even more of these projects. TBD was going to break out, and like what will be actually sustainable, but definitely there will be more of this, and something that is definitely more of a plug, but. I definitely felt a little bit burned out in the summer. I didn't know where Farcaster would be going, and I decided, like, I did this like very first principle research, like what's actually interesting in Farcaster, was actually new. I started working on Supercast in October last year with a vision that I can build like essentially a Twitter client that will be my Twitter client. I will build it exactly as I want, and this is why it will be interesting. I think this didn't play out exactly as I wanted, but now I found like a really new cool product to build, and Supercast is turning into a wallet for Farcaster economy. So hopefully after some time it will not be like just a paid-only app, but it will be like a full wallet where you can easily onboard on Farcaster. You can create an account, and you can essentially make money from tips. You have tutorials how to engage with other people and like earn degen, Moxie, Ham, whatever is going to be next. And you will be able to do it without jumping through the apps, without connecting wallets, without all of this painful experience, just like having everything in one app. And I believe it will be going a fantastic experience. It's going to happen like within the next 2 months. Maybe 3, depends how better AI will get and like how much I can produce this shit. So yeah, Supercast wallet is coming. I'm quite excited for Farcaster economy, and I think this is what's going next for Farcaster after this 6 months. I think we're right on time. I don't know, can we do some questions? Yeah, okay, cool. So let's do some questions. Beautiful.
I have my question more related to like development part. Was it challenging to build support for frames on the client side?
Yes.
Any like tips, anything you can tell?
So the question was it challenging? And the answer is yes. Why was it challenging? So specifically for my situation, I was building frames integrations since the very day zero, and back in the days the specification would change like every week, every second week, and at some point I just like stopped following up all the updates, just because there was too much of it, and the code for rendering a frame like was too bad, too spaghetti like. Now Supercast is like up to date with the spec, and it interprets most of the frames really well, but then still everyone tests the frames usually just on Warpcast, and the frame specification is quite ambiguous around the corners. Stuff that Warpcast interprets in one way can be interpreted in the other way on like other clients. So even right now, there's like, let's say 20% of frames that work on Warpcast. They don't maybe follow the full specification, but they work on Warpcast, and the developer never checked them anywhere else, so it doesn't really work on Supercast. I think overall it's like easier these days to build frames into your app because you can probably just like fork Frog or Frames.js and like use their renderer. This is not what I did for Supercast so far, but I will probably go this route the moment I add transaction frames and mints to the frames. And this could be easier, but so far it was really challenging.
Hi. So I met a lot of people in the last few days, and I always mention Farcaster or Warpcast to them. And one of the comments that was quite common was, yeah, but I have to pay for it. And you, as a Supercast, it's also a payable app, right? You have to pay to use it. What is your response or reply to people who say, why do I have to pay?
That's a great question. So there's payment on 2 levels. So first, you need to pay to sign up on Farcaster. There is a sign-up fee. It's a regular gas fee. The reason for it is very simple. Farcaster is a fully decentralized social network. All the data is held in a global state of computers that contribute to the network, and there is no infinite amount of storage. So right now, every hub stores like 100 gigabytes of data. So it's like actually totally fine. But next time the network scales to next, it's like 1 terabyte. Then there is like 10 terabytes. Then there is like goes into hundreds like petabytes of data, and it's just expensive to run these hubs. And if the reality is, if the network was free, unfortunately the abusers would just like make everything unusable, and it would be already huge, and it would be already unrunnable for anyone. That's for Farcaster. Fortunately, the sign-up fee is not that much anymore. So it started with $14 to sign up. That through Warpcast would be $20 because they follow Apple Store rules. So they add Apple Store tax. And these days it's only $2 on the protocol. So we went like from $14 to $2. Like, and we review it like every 6 weeks on the developer calls. And consensus is to always like lower this and like make it lower. Probably, I don't promise anything, but it will go to like $1 for a sign up. It will always have to be gated with some dollar amount, but hopefully less and less. And then Supercast for now is like a fully paid only app. It's paid only because I decided to do it without any venture investors. So this allows me to like pay for servers, pay for any expenses, and actually work on it full time. So people don't like it, but I know that that's the only way to actually build it. And I love Supercast. So if you don't have any other choice, you just pay with it. And actually, people who find it valuable are very happy to pay.
Hello. So if someone's an aspiring builder in social, do you think Farcaster is creating a friendly and good community for the developer ecosystem right now? Is kind of that the right choice in terms of social graph versus no social graph?
Maybe like specify the question.
Yeah. So if you're not building a client, obviously, could you give us some reasons why is it worth to build on top of Farcaster versus trying to kind of bootstrap your own social graph?
Okay. So it's a great question, and I think it's a question that is like really relevant today. Many founders are going both routes. And actually, we had a discussion about it a few weeks ago. I don't remember with whom, but I have a very strong opinion on this. So the question like depends. Like if you're building a new company, you're building a new consumer product, you want your app in the future to have millions of daily active users. What do? Do you use Farcaster profiles, or do you build like your own, system of profiles and people need to sign up? And essentially, you have this trade-off. If you go with Farcaster, it's easier for existing Farcaster users to onboard, and you can latch onto the social graph and get some free distribution from Farcaster. But at the same time, the moment when you outgrow Farcaster, and Farcaster is not huge yet, suddenly you need to onboard people by paying the sign-up fee. You need to go through these hurdles, and you kind of add value to someone else's protocol or platform. So you have this question, right? And I see a lot of apps launching without Farcaster these days. I think there was a period when it was cool to launch on Farcaster. Now, for the past 2-3 months, less so. And I personally think it's a large mistake. I think it's an ego mistake where you think as a social founder, you actually have what it takes to build an app with millions of users and you will scale so fast. Or in reality, you've never built anything with any significant retention. And a lot of people like that just fall in this ego trap. Or hey, I will build it much better. I don't need distribution for Farcaster. I don't need distribution from Warpcast. And I'm gonna do it by myself. Maybe I'll add some Farcaster features later. But if you're a founder that has to make this decision, I strongly advise just connect to Farcaster and worry about this problem later, because you get such an insane distribution from being on Warpcast feed, from being able to connect to frames, to get distribution from existing Farcaster user base. And if you ever actually outgrow Farcaster, which is one, good luck with this. Building an app with 50,000, 100,000 DAUs is already a challenge. If you can do it, you can also turn it off at any time. You can just okay, these people were onboarded with Farcaster, but from now we actually stop sending data to the protocol. That's also totally possible. So yeah, these days, I think any social founders, for any social founder in crypto, it should be really, really mindless and simple decision to bootstrap their social graphs on Farcaster. And I honestly think anyone making a different decision is making a mistake. Well, yeah, that's my honest opinion.
Massive round of applause for Watch, guys. Come on. So you have some good questions there, bro. Amazing, amazing. And quick one from me. Are you going to be attending the hackathon over the next couple of days?
I may show up, yeah.
Yeah, perfect. So come find him, guys. Ask him away about Supercaster. Let's go. I mean, it's been a great session from you today. Packed out house as well. So we're actually driving. One more round of applause there, guys. We're actually going to jump